Welcome to the set here at the CSPC in Calgary. Mike Herrington, you're joining us right now. You flew in from South Africa for this event.
For last night, yes.
Yes, for last night. You're the Executive Director, Global Entrepreneurship Monitor.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about your organization.
It's a worldwide organization. It started way back in 1997 when it was first conceived. The first reports came out in 1999, and they involved 10 countries, 8 OECD countries, Japan and the United States. Since then, the consortium, as we like to call it, has grown substantially. It's involved 99 countries to date. This year, 2012, we have 69 countries participating from all over the world, all different levels of economy. Those countries probably represent more than 2/3 of the world's population. They represent between 85 and probably 90% of the world's GDP. So GEM is now considered to be the largest and most authoritative study on entrepreneurship in the world today.
What sort of things is it that you look at?
We look not at SMEs, we look at people. What are their adult population? In other words, people between the ages of 18 and 64 years of age. And we look at their perceptions towards entrepreneurship, because that's very important. Do they perceive that there are opportunities out there? Do they perceive that they have the capabilities of starting a business? What are their intentions to start a business? Are they worried about failure of a business? What influences them to actually go into entrepreneurship in the first place?
Do you find that more people are heading into it now? Because it's easier, it seems to me, to do a lot more with a lot less when it comes to equipment with today's technology than it might have been years ago. You know, I mean, here we are with a set, we've got 3 cameras, 3 lights, we're on the move, we're here. At one time, you'd have to be a network or a TV station to do what we're capable of doing.
Right.
Do you find that that's opening up more markets for entrepreneurs?
I'm going to qualify that question because it's going to depend upon the country.
Of course.
Obviously, if you're in so-called first world countries or what we call the innovation-driven economies, yes, technology is helping significantly. But if you're in a factor-driven economy, a developing economy, not so much, because they don't have access to that technology. So therefore, the type of entrepreneurship will be different.
Mm-hmm. What sort of trends have you been seeing then? Do you see where, well, you tell me. Yeah.
Once again, it depends upon the country.
Yeah.
And we find, for example, in developing countries, factor-driven economies, that there's a greater level of necessity entrepreneurship taking place as against opportunity entrepreneurship. And necessity entrepreneurship we define as you have no other alternative of earning an income. So you have to start some sort of business, albeit it could be a small business, a trading business, in order to survive, because there's no social security in that particular country. So that is increasing quite substantially in developing countries because of increasing unemployment.
Now, would that be seen as a good sign because these people are trying to generate an income and do things, or is out of necessity just a totally different category?
Well, let's put it this way. It is a good sign from this point of view, is that those people that are starting businesses out of necessity are then less reliant upon the government to support them. So that in itself is quite significant. What we don't have figures on is, do those necessity entrepreneurs move into the opportunity entrepreneurship level? Because necessity entrepreneurs don't employ people, they employ themselves. They work for themselves. Whereas the opportunity entrepreneurs are the ones that create the employment. And in most countries now, as you know, unemployment figures are quite high. It varies from country to country, but in some developing countries it can be as high as 40% unemployment, which is quite significant.
Would now take us to the developed countries, and what sort of trends have you been seeing there?
We've seen more of a movement towards innovation within large corporations, which, in other words, entrepreneurial activity within large corporations, and I think that in itself is significant. So individuals are not so much starting their own businesses, but they're developing new innovations in those corporations.
How do you classify that as an entrepreneur if they're already working with somebody?
They may be working with somebody,
Okay.
but what happens is that they develop new concepts, new processes, new products within those organizations, which allows those organizations to expand, maybe look for other markets to grow, to create employment. So that is very significant.
So I'm confused because you're classifying that as an entrepreneur. In my mind, that's just an employee that's working in research and development and coming up with processes that make a difference.
I think where you're confused is that in a lot of corporations, you may have a low level of what they call entrepreneurship. In other words, the people do what they're told to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between people actively coming up and creating new ideas within that organization that is going to enable that organization to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a basis of, is the culture of that organization conducive to allowing that to happen?
Okay.
And I think that's very important.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you look at many of the large companies now, they're all struggling, they're all competing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've just got to look at companies like Apple, Samsung, etc., etc. A huge amount of innovation comes within the company.
Mm-hmm.
And that is terribly important for those companies to develop and to expand.
Mm-hmm. With it being more of an open society these days, does that help entrepreneurs as well?
It can help entrepreneurs, but it can also inhibit entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
because of what it does is it creates competition that may not have been there before. So you may have had a protected society where there are tariff barriers, where there are protections for the local entrepreneurs. Suddenly, if you open the whole thing up and it becomes this global world that it is now, ideas quickly change, there's communication's so easy, but it also generates incredible competition, and that can be good or bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How does Canada fare when it comes to entrepreneurship?
I have no idea at this moment in time because we don't
Okay.
have the figures.
Explain that to us. Why do you not?
Because for the last number of years, Canada has not participated in the GEM study,
Mm-hmm.
primarily because of a lack of funding.
Mm-hmm.
In order to participate, it does require in the region of about $100,000 to $120,000. So it's
Okay.
quite significant.
Well, it's a significant amount for you and me, but it doesn't sound like a significant amount for governments that are spending billions of dollars.
You're talking to the converted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But unfortunately, the government don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think initially many governments don't see the value of GEM because they say, well, what is it going to do for me? But over a period of time, what we have found is that the GEM results in many countries are being used for structuring policy towards small and medium businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's becoming very important. So I think it's a matter of education of government authorities, convincing them that what is coming out of GEM is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, $100,000 to government is insignificant, but you still got to get it from them.
Right. So Canada hasn't done it in a long time.
Yes.
I think when I looked at your website, I think it was 2003,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. Do you have any plans to work in Canada or with Canada to get involved in a study?
Well, they are starting. They've got the money to
Okay.
start in 2013.
Okay.
So they will get the complete backing of GEM,
Mm-hmm.
the central unit of GEM, who will help them through the process, because the first time that any country does it, it's quite scary, and there's quite a lot of things that you have to learn, and you need help. And we have a whole team of people worldwide
Okay.
that actually help them, and they can also additionally go to other countries because it's a network, it's a small society.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you.
We've been chatting with Mike Herrington, who is the Executive Director of Global Entrepreneurship Monitor.